What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is BeastBound and I am the coach hosting this week's DBhubs event. Now, this segment that you're seeing right now is actually recorded a couple of days after. It's a little bit of a voiceover because I messed up and I let the music run for a little bit. But I did want to give it a bit of an intro for you guys, otherwise it'd just be, there starts the video. So, this chat is going to be about rotations, and more specifically a system for rotations that I've been using, I've been developing over the years, and it's been out there for people to use now. Hopefully people do pick up on it because it is incredible, or dare I say myself. But more specifically, this shout out goes to like DBhubs and hosting these events. Honestly, DBhubs, as far as the community goes, they're incredible. Dreamy alone is a legend in my books, but join the community. For $25 a month, you can access the premium community, and you can get like weekly talks with like top level coaches, freestylers, coaches of RLCS level, etc., etc. You get in-houses, community nights, mental checkups, feedback sessions, mechanical extra sessions. Honestly, it's like 5 events every week, pretty much at this point. So it is a lot of value for 25. So I'll be sure to put a link down below in the description, and you can just click that. It will be for the Discord as well as the new website, which is coming out either now, soon, or around this time. So enjoy the talk about rotations. I hope you learned something, and I'm going to explain why you should use the system. Good luck. Having a system to focus on gives you a base that you can build on top of, and a lot of people, especially if you like watch at higher level Rocket League, you will find yourself struggling with these kind of elements a lot. You know, the first time you play Rocket League, you're looking at professional players, and they're all just kind of like lost, like where you know, oh, why is he going? Why is he going? He's just faster now. Especially if you just get like a cam, you just see the people going all the time, and that is going to hold you back in the long run. So having a system that you can build on is very important. Now, why ARIDA? ARIDA is a system I've developed myself. This is not available anywhere else. This is just personally me, BeastBound system, and it's something that I have spent over a year and a half developing. When I started this, the system was actually a lot more hard to explain. There was a lot of potential and a lot of, oh, maybe but this works, maybe that works. And over time, I've narrowed it down to just these steps. Also kind of works quite nicely. So this is going to be a good one. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to just start talking about this, because let's take a couple of drawings. Now, I like to draw. I like to give it visuals for yourself. When we are talking rotations, let's talk about all the steps we're going for. And the simple letters are there for a reason. The A's are the actions. On either side, the ID in a rotation is obviously that you do something. You do something and you rotate all the way back to another action. Trust me, it's behind me, it says action. But then we've got the other letters, and we're going to allow you a chance to guess some of those. I like a little bit of interaction. I'm also going to be drawing them out. So this is a field. And for this example, oh, that's a bit excessive. For this example, we'll have a stationary ball roughly where the action is. Now, I know some of you already know this, but what's the very first thing you do after you rotate? So do I appreciate the floor, by the way? Vibe check. What's the very first thing after you do get your action in, right? Rotate. Recovery. Yes, recovery. Recovery is the first. I see there's some people that have learned about this before. Recovery is the very first thing you do. Now, you might immediately wonder, why recovery, right? Why recovery? Recovery is the very first thing you do, because if all else fails, you will be able to go immediately after again. Now, this is also kind of where people start making mistakes again, because people think they can go again. So the very first thing you do, right, after you've gone for the ball, is you recover. What does this mean? What does recovery entail? Now, recovery is a large variety of things that you gotta get done. That means you gotta get back on the floor, usually, or you know, on a wall if you're a little bit higher level, but you gotta get to some extent back to where you can go again. You gotta get post, you gotta get ready, you gotta get behind the ball. All the things you gotta get done before you can go again. Right? Now, that is the simple step, recovery. That is a first, that is a first, that is a first. Yeah, Dreamy, do you need to... Can you just edit the com? Sorry. If you can edit the com, maybe that's the best. Links get blurred, that's all. We can add the command. That would be cool. Thank you, Vermis. You're a goat. Now, the next thing after you recover, and this is to talk about the most efficient way of a rotation, is to get yourself the information. Information is obviously going to help you loads whenever you are information. I know how to spell, don't worry about this. Information is key element. Now, there's a reason why I'm drawing this over here. There's a reason why I'm drawing this away from the plane. Because information in its own is a lot more if you're here than if you are here. So if you are looking to get the most information, having that distance from the play is going to help you a lot. We're going to look at a couple of examples as well. We'll see a couple of examples afterwards. We're just going to pick literally professional players so you can see it from the highest level and how it still works, even at that level. Yes, information. Information is very important. And information also helps with the next step. Woo! Decision. We are speed running this one. Absolutely. Decision is next. Beast. I've heard decision making a lot. Why is this specifically a part of the rotation? It is because it is important to make a decision, especially before an action. If you find yourself flowing through games, you are already thinking of something specific, but a decision making process is part of that rotation. So we're going to work through all of these individually and we'll get you a couple of examples. Obviously, if there's questions, please ask them in the chat. I will be looking to respond to those as well. A little bit of a different setup than normal, obviously. Normally this is in a Discord chat, but this time it is going to be live. So bear with us for now. Now, if you are talking about these steps, a lot of people will immediately point out that some things that we are missing are, for example, disruption. There is not at all any kind of step for demo plays. And that is because that is not necessarily even a need for this. You can't always search for demo plays. They are a situational thing. All of these steps, action, recovery, information, decision, are making you make the right decision. If you miss any of them, the routine will be faster, sure, but they're not going to be as efficient. And adding stuff onto it might be the move if that is situationally the truth. Yeah. So action, under action, we kind of just see everything that you are doing to put pressure on the ball. We'll go into the roles that you kind of have in a team a bit later on as well, because you can make a comparison between the two. But for action, we are just seeing every kind of action you are having towards the ball, towards the play in general. It is a very simple system, so we make it simple as well. Recovery, we are again just talking about everything you need to do to get ready to go again. If, for example, you are in a competitive game and you notice that both your teammates get demoed, you being able to put that pressure on again is going to be more important. Whereas if you first, for example, start looking for information and you stick around, you might later see that there's more available, but if that is the case, you are now no longer able to respond. So that fast response is going to be key, and having people be able to respond or recover faster, is very, very impressive. Looking at people play with very good recoveries is always like a treat because you can see them going faster, faster, and faster. Information, again, is very important because it's mainly what comes afterwards, the decision-making process. If you don't have all the information, or if you've not given yourself information, you can keep going for the ball, but you'll be panicking, you'll be playing off of assumptions, you'll be playing off of what you expect to happen, but you're not quite going to be able to make the right decision. If you, for example, go immediately after recovering here, right, you won't have time to see if there's someone here, or if they are here, because you're focused on getting towards the ball again. Giving yourself that time, or understanding when you have that time to make that informed call, is going to allow you to change your decision based on what is currently present. You're quite alright, Pink. It's just the start of it. The decision-making process is something I've mentioned specifically because of one very important reason. If we don't have that decision-making process mentioned, you will not be able to kind of get yourself into the play again. Something I found out is when I tried to get rid of the decision-making steps and just say recover, information, action, is that people struggle to visualize the cues, and this is going to be important later, we'll talk more about this, cue recognition, that allow them to go back into the play. Now, cue recognition is something that I use a lot as a coach. Recognizing a cue that makes you do something is very important. So if you see information that your opponent misses, obviously you're going to go for the ball again. Thank you, Firmus, by the way. That's sick. I appreciate you so much. So the cue recognition that you are looking for in this step-by-step process is very important, and actively making the decision and sticking with it is going to allow you to successfully go through these steps and become a much faster player. Now, a lot of the people that are playing Rocket League will find themselves kind of just doing things every now and then. And this means that you go into a game and you just try and get as much done as possible. And while there isn't necessarily something wrong with this, you are usually lacking a bit of a system. If we're looking at like professional sports somewhere else, you'll find that even the most simplistic coaches usually present the system. If you're talking about football, you get like a setup, right? We're playing 4-3-3. If you're talking basketball, we've got certain rules. If Curry has the ball, he shoots. Simple enough, right? There is specific rules that just make it simple for people to understand what's happening. Rules like if you have two cars against each other, you both stay there. It sounds dumb, but it works. And if people don't abide to that rule, you get people complaining, you get people clashing. Left goes for kickoff. A simple rule like that as well. The same can be said about your rotation, and the more simplistic you have of a system, the better it will be. So having all these kind of elements you try and combine clash as much is not going to allow you to practice them specifically. So by making them this simple, action, recovery, information, decision, action, you can put yourself in a game and literally practice this. You can get a little bit of practice in by just saying, all right, we're going to go into a free play and talk about the systems. Talk about those. Oh, get rid of the text for a second. All right. We go for the action. We go for the recovery. We get the information. We make the decision. And we go for the action again. Now, that seems very simple when there's nothing else in the field, but it gets harder, obviously, when there is multiple moving elements. And the higher you get through ranks, the harder it becomes. So, what do? So we combine it, ladies and gentlemen. We combine it with the roles. What do you mean the roles, Beast? With the roles, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, first, second, and third. A system that is very outdated. A system that people do not talk about enough. A system where everyone assumes everyone is talking about the same things, but they aren't anymore. If you ask this, and I've tried this, trust me, to a team, you ask, oh, what do you think a first is, right? Well, a first, for example, is someone that's on the ball. Oh, but what if you do not have possession? Yeah, well, then they're the closest to the ball. What do you mean the closest to the ball? Yeah, they're usually the first one up, or the person that's furthest on the field. Okay, so what is their role? What do they do? If you say I'm first, what does it mean? People mean something, and having these kind of written out like this, we can make a division between these. And we can kind of combine this. Now, if you're really breaking it down, the best words I have found, and I'm open to have these changed over time, is for first to talk about pressure. The first is simply the person that's putting pressure on the ball. If you have possession of the ball, obviously you're pressing the opponents, forcing them to do something. You want to go forwards, don't want to give them as much time. But if they have the ball, you're pressing them to make something happen with the ball, forcing them to make an, oh, there it is, an action. Lovely. Walk that in there in a second. The second role is one of the hardest to define, because a lot of people think, well, you know, obviously if you have a field again, in the first over here with the ball, the second's over here, and you're waiting for the most positive play. You're waiting for a passing play. So you're there for the passing play. Some others say, well, the second is obviously the person that's going to go next, so they should be over here. Someone else says, well, the second is just whoever's up furthest, because, you know, that's whoever is there next. So the second is a very, very vague role for a lot of people. And the best way to look at this, I've found, is by talking about second as a supporter role. What do you mean supporter role? I mean supporting the most likely scenario. What do you mean the most likely scenario? Well, chat, you've got a weird voice. Stop talking. BeastBound, you've given us this voice. That's fair. My bad. I am going to talk about this bit particularly a lot more, but that is exactly what that support does. That support role is just simply guessing the information and making the right decision. Ultimately, if you really break things down, if you are second, you are waiting for the information, be it a pass, be it an action, be it something else, and then making your decision. So you can't quite go. You are ready, but you can't quite go yet. So that's the role you're looking for. Now, if you see that the ball is not going to where you are, you can support in some other way. You might not be able to go for the play as you saw it, but you will be able to, for instance, go for a demo or do something else. Put in a different kind of action that allows you to still be efficient. And this is why I've gone for the word supporter. You are supporting the likely scenario. Still with me, chat? I know I'm going fast, so slow me down if you need any questions, if you have anything. I talk about this a lot, so I'm a big fan of this system, obviously. But yeah. Just stop me if I'm going too fast. Now, the third role for me is a safety net. And a safety net is simply the person that you want to have behind you. And one of the main mistakes that people have is having a safety net be stationary. They have a safety net that's completely behind the play, often thinking about a a goalkeeper kind of stationary. Sorry, second is not facilitator. I like the word facilitator a lot, and I've used the word facilitator for a very long time because you're trying to facilitate the play. But I've gone for a different kind of word because I think facilitating is a bit more essential. So it sounds like you have to be the one that's making the play happen, whereas I don't think that's necessarily the case. You are supporting the likely scenario. So facilitating I'm a big fan of this word, and I've used it up until recently, but I've found that people kind of misunderstood it and felt like the second had to get involved. So especially if you're talking twos, because you can't play all the roles at once, having facilitator mentioned instead of supporter means that you are not giving yourself enough of a chance to help the most likely of outcomes. Does that make sense? So supporter is a bit more, I see whatever is happening and I'm helping that one, whereas facilitating feels like you have to help. That's the what I've found. I'm not against facilitator, again, because I do think in a lot of situations you can be seen as a facilitator. But facilitating is a part of supporting for me, whereas supporting is not a part of facilitating. So I've gone for, again, a little bit of a simplification that means the same thing overall. Now, the safety net, to kind of fall back on that one, is for me the role that is going to be there in case something happens. Now, I don't want my safety net to be stationary. I want a safety net to kind of move with me. So yeah. First could also be a facilitator. Yes, I mean, I think in a way, if you are first, if you're going for your own play, if you're going for a solo play, you don't need someone else to facilitate the play. You could go for an ARIDA bump. It's a very good example, right? If you have the ability to, you are facilitating your own play. But yeah, second controls the game. I don't think second controls the game. I think second is looking to make the best decision to make the best out of the game. If you are first, you kind of, you have your limitations set out for you. You're going to do as much as you can. If that means passing, right, you need a second to be there. But if that means you are going for a solo play, that's where you are. So you kind of limit yourself to that. The second has a lot more opportunity still. We're going to talk about something I will bring up in a minute, and I call it neutral positioning when I start breaking these down. So there's more about that in a second. There's a reason why second for me is the most not important, but the most vital part where the most of the mistakes are being made right now. That's a great question, JJ. But that safety net is not a stationary kind of position. If you're thinking what a safety net would mean, obviously you want a safety net to be able to react to the play as well. And exactly that is why you want a safety net to also be able to get moving. You don't want a stationary safety net because if you just sat in goal stationary, you're not going to be able to make the same amount of saves as if you can pick your time. And for me, this kind of coincides with a recovery period. If you're looking at someone that is recovering, you will be able to find yourself doing a movement much more likely to also get to the right position to be a safety net. And that is kind of how they translate. And this is also how you can kind of see these roles work. Now, the most important thing is their ads. Oh, I should have turned those off for the hour. I will wait. I've just been informed that there is ads, so I'm going to instead draw out a couple of situations. So I will wait. I do apologize. I forgot about those completely, and I feel very bad about that. See if I can actually just... Do apologize for that. Manager. I've got the manager. Can I get ads, snooze ads? Yes. Right, I've got the snooze ads. Okay. Sorry, I've got that one ready, so remind me in about 20 minutes to snooze those ads. I hope everyone's back from ads. I'm going to assume it is. There's a good couple of questions here in chat, actually. Is in twos, how would second be played? Would they play support and safety net all at once? Is this for twos or threes? Threes between 2 and 3 is the 2 second men. Well, it works for both. Ads are done. Roles are handled differently in twos. The roles are the same in twos, but they are played differently. I paid for the ARIDA knowledge. Sorry, music. How you doing, boss? Don't worry, there's still a lot more in coaching. This was just efficient. Over time, this will be, hopefully, like a default system. ARIDA as a system, obviously, if you look at those roles like this, where you have the same roles, first is an action, third is your recovery, where it's going back, and second is your information decision-making step. What you see is in that same rotation, right, we have our first, that's over here. Our second is actually more often than not over here. And our third will be over here. And that seems counterintuitive because people always like to have their third back. But I think that if you are getting to a certain level, especially, whoever is driving here is more likely to make a save if the ball is over here. And the second is obviously looking to go in this direction, or maybe in this direction or somewhere else, right? So in threes, the system can be kind of easy to draw out like this because you can kind of divide the field like this. Ooh, ooh. And if the ball goes here, obviously, potentially, it'd be better for this person to turn this way. Then second can turn this way again, and first can simply go back this way. So you can go both ways, rotation-wise. Dividing the field up like this makes a lot more sense than dividing the field up like this. Wait. I can hear you thinking, why Beast? Because for the longest time, obviously, this is like the ideal setup, right? What you're doing is you've got first, you've got second, and you've got third. But the beauty of this system is that if your first goes, right, and they have to go back, they now have to cross all the way back. Whereas the second only has to go this far, and the third only has to go this far. So the difference in the kind of system and how far you have to travel is that the first has to recover much further. Now obviously if the ball goes into the corner, you could argue he only needs to go to like a mid boost and go back here and you still have a good rotation, but those steps do not line up the same. They don't line up to be the same at all. So it's much better to understand that a rotation actually rotates around each other and can be flexible. That doesn't happen if you see an old system. So the good question that was posted earlier was, how do you play this in twos? And in twos, it is kind of a similar situation. Because if you have your first role, which is the important one, you have someone on the ball, you need someone to then take over both. But how do you, go from first and then make the right decision? And this is where that neutral position comes in. The neutral position is something that is important, and it kind of happens in between second and third, because you don't exactly know if you need to be here yet or if you need to be here yet, for example. You can't automatically assume you're going to go all the way back. This is one of the many flaws with just rotating back post. You're going to default back to a position that might happen, but if the ball, kind of ends up here, you're not going to be there first, and you're going to lose a bunch of possession, a bunch of pressure that was just created. So if you want to play optimally with your teammate, you are looking to find the fastest recovery that allows you to make the decision when it happens. And this is why recovery is important first. If you don't recover first here, you will not have a chance to even go in the first place. Recovery is the most important. And now in twos, the information is going to tell you whether you are going to become second or third, for example, if this ball goes somewhere else. Before you make this decision, you need the information, because otherwise, if you assume it is second and you then find out, hey, there's the information, right? Whoop. There's the information. I actually should have gone third. You now have to go back. You have to do an additional turn. This is often very apparent when this happens, because people do this frequently. If you go ARIDA, right? you're going recover, decision, information, like this. And if you recognize these loops in your gameplay frequently, you are probably making this decision before you get the information. The decision to go forwards or go for a likely scenario before something happens. Now you can find a neutral position wherever on the field, whatever the situation, you can find a neutral position. So having a position where you can still be in the right spot, and we'll show you a couple of examples again. From that first, you're going to recover first. Once you get your boost, that can be anywhere. You know, I'm assuming you're going for small pads. I'm assuming you're going to work on how fast you can recover. If you need a big boost, you can have a big boost. But you can find a position like here, for example, in twos. This is a very common one where you can still go forwards if the ball goes there, but you can also still go backwards if the ball goes there. And finding that flow and finding that timing on that neutral position where you haven't decided yet, but you're waiting for information, is very, very, very good. You see exactly what players are very good at this. Players that can immediately switch and be like flowing through your games. And if you do this correctly, it will feel like you're flowing through your games because you're always ready for whatever happens. Everyone is at one of those games where just everything clicks for some reason. And people think, oh, it's just a lucky game, or like, I just played really well. It's not playing really well. You got the timing right. And that timing of the game is important. And if you understand that, you can search for that. And if you search for that, you can find it. W, we like that. Yes. All right. Now, ones, right? We've had twos, we've had threes, obviously. What do you do in ones? Well, Beast, in ones, the other way around, well, you guys, in ones, it works the exact same way. You still need to do these things. There is just less information you have to take into consideration. Practicing this specifically in ones might be a good move if you struggle with, for example, recovery. I've even today, earlier on this in the stream, I've had a long discussion with people about why once is really good for practicing certain things. Having a statement like once is the best mode to practice in is just not true. It is the best mode to practice specific things in, but not everything can be practiced. Because if you are practicing your information game in once, you're not going to find the same information. Obviously, if you're then going to transition to three, you're going to find the player that's on the ball, and that's it. And you're like, all right, that's all the information I need. I can go now. That's not all the information you need. So you need to practice something specifically. Recoveries is something that you can really practice in once. Why? Well, you do your action in once, right? Now the ball goes somewhere. You didn't score. It happens. Best of us. Unlucky. Now they have the ball. What do you got to do? You got to recover really fast because you better make sure that you can go for next, because otherwise there's no second line of defense. And this punishing element, this kind of fast-paced element, forces you to practice something specifically. Going into ones or going into twos even, because you can make it still specific, but allows you to very, very specifically practice things right. A couple of weeks ago, I did talk about how to use ones. This is one of the elements that came up at the time. You can press ones, or you can use ones as a tool to like practice specific things. When it comes to information, you can start in ones. Start in ones, look for your first teammate. Look for your first opponent. Now you have an understanding why you look for that opponent. If you just assume the opponent's not there, you're going to just be sending for the ball, right? And that's, it will probably help you for a little bit, but once you get into like plat or diamond, you'll probably struggle because people are starting to hit the ball away from you. Those pesky opponents. I don't like them all the time, but hey, they're there for a reason. So you're going to have to start working the information into it. Then you go to twos. Hey, now there's a teammate I have to keep track of. Why is my teammate going there? Obviously, we can blame the teammate. That's easy enough. I've had so many coaches that just most of what they were preaching, most of what they were teaching was about how can you make sure that if something goes wrong, you blame your teammate, including but not limited to don't ever challenge, literally. So, yeah, we've had some weird discussions about that stuff. I'm not going to mention them. I'm sure they do some things right as well. But that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for a system that you can build up. Make sure you understand this and understand this why. Action. You're doing something to the ball. Why do you want this? Because you want to have an impact on your games. In your action, you can have the most impact on your games. Recovery. Why do you want to do this? You want to make sure that you can go back as well, allowing your teammates or allowing yourself to go again, making sure you keep that rotation moving. Information. How do you practice getting this? How fast can you pick up information? This is something you can practice. If you play your freeze games, right? Can you, with one single look around the field, see where people are? Most people can't. If you've never practiced this, you probably won't. I am pretty good at this. I normally, if you play on stream, you're probably getting better at this specifically, because I can see the field, and in a second I can say, all right, well, I can see he's driving in that direction, so I probably need to be there. Oftentimes you'll see me make jokes where I can put my controller down and just sit back for a minute. It's not the best thing to do, obviously, granted, but I can do that because I understand where the rotation is going, what the space goes. So all of that is muy importante. Decision making is important, again, because you want to put yourself in that plane. If you don't make a decision, if you do not find the information that you're looking for, and you're just looking at the play, you become a spectator in your own games. Again, limiting how much of an impact you have. You won't make a mistake, of course not. I was set back and my teammate left me on my own. I can't be, it can't be me who made the mistake. My teammate, they went for it, and they didn't come back behind me in time. So how was I the one that was responsible for that loss? It's because you didn't actually do anything. You didn't play of your teammate's decision. You didn't play of your teammate's movement. All of those steps, they come in handy on their own. Brief. Is there any questions so far, chat? We're going to go into this a little bit deeper, and we're also going to show you some examples. And I think we're just going to pick Monkey Moon. I'll be honest, if I'm hoping for good suggestions, but Monkey Moon is just a fantastic player to watch for this specific system. He's not using this, obviously, the system I've developed myself. I don't think he's known of it anyways, but if he does, what's up, Monkey Moon? Let's work together. But yeah. Drink. Stay hydrated, people. Especially if it's warm. Any questions so far? What would a neutral position be exactly? A neutral position is a position where you haven't decided yet. A position where you essentially can still go both ways. If you imagine the game as a thing, I know people don't like this map, so let me just go for a different map. We'll do the new map. The new map. Where is it? There we go. Right. You get a touch here. Right. You can't go again, so you recover instead. But now you haven't seen what's happening yet. Your teammate is now on the ball. Assume your teammate is now on the ball. So someone else is going to hit the ball. I don't know where the ball is going to go yet. Now, if I go all the way back, I've made the decision to assume my teammate's not going to touch this forwards, and I've given up on my position potentially upfield in the midfield. If I go upfield and I am ready for a pass and my teammate gets beaten, I've not taken into consideration the option that my teammates get beaten. So a neutral position is a position, which I am roughly in right now, right, where I can still go here, if that's the case. I can still go here, if that's the case. So that allows me to get information and based on that information, make a decision. That's a neutral position, a position where you are still neutral to the play. You haven't decided, so you can't really be punished for this either. Maybe a freak pinch, obviously, right? But you don't want to be back in field waiting for a pinch. Should I move slowly in neutral position? Slowly is not the right word, because sometimes you'll find that you spend a bit of time in a neutral position. So not by default. Normally, you have a bit of time in neutral position, so it allows you to potentially get a little bit of extra boost or get a little bit of extra information. What you don't want to do is kind of use up any of the resources that you have recovered. Because if you use up a bunch of boost right now, and then you make the decision to go, but you don't have enough boost to go for it, you can't do this. So neutral position, if you become really good at the system, you can kind of work things together, right? In your recovery, you're going to start looking for information so you can go faster. And when you're looking at your information, you can narrow down decisions a lot more. So instead of seeing this many options, maybe it's more likely that it's going to be either here or here, right? So over time, you become better at this all, and you can start narrowing stuff down, and you'll be able to go through the system faster. But moving slowly by default is not the way forwards. How should predictability play into decision making? Example, teammate going up, the higher the level you go, the more predictable they are. Yeah, to a certain extent. Obviously, if you trust your teammate, right? Your teammate has just gone for a solo play the past 5 plays, and he's not passed at all, right? There's not a single pass. He's going up, and he's gone for a solo play. Is the 6th time he's going up. I'm going to expect him to make less of, I'm going to less and less expect him to go for a pass. I would still like to be ready in case he does pass, but I'm going to narrow down that decision making. Again, adaptation and adapting in general, using the system to your advantage, getting better at using the system to get better at what you do is ultimately going to be part of this process as well. Imagine Rocket League, but then was opposite. If you bang someone, you explode. That would be fun. I don't. That's not a question, but yeah. If you are normally first man in your team, what would you focus on doing in that position in your team? So if you are first man, by the definition that I've just set, right, I assume someone that's putting a lot of pressure on. Usually you have people that are very mechanical, are very comfortable with being on the ball, and aren't afraid to kind of just challenge actively. Someone that's really, really actively putting themselves in the play and really putting a lot of pressure on. You're looking for someone that's putting a lot of pressure on the plays. A good example is the old Rule 1 roster. I'm going to always refer to the old Rule 1 roster where you had Nupo, Amat, and Okhalid. They had a very clear system that Nupo, whenever he had boost, he was going to go. Amat was always going to be the second to go, and Okhalid was a lot more, I'll wait, I'll let you guys do your thing. So yeah. Would Vatira be a good example for this system? I don't think you can really specifically point at one player and go this is a perfect example for the system, because the system is developed by myself. So it's not like they are using this system. Monkey Moon is my go-to. Monkey Moon is the go-to that if you look at him play, he is taking everything into account. He's an incredibly smart player, and everything he does kind of shows that. So yes, Vatira is very good. I think Vatira has a preference for a little bit more of a specific role, whereas Monkey Moon is a lot more comfortable in that information. It's just, I'll let you make your mistake, you do your thing, and I'll just win worlds after, if that's all right with you guys. But yeah. Monkey Moon is probably my go-to. We're going to look at some Monkey Moon afterwards. I'll also see if I can pick someone else. Do you guys just want to go for the RLCS World Finals? I think that's it's always a fun one to kind of pick out. I can get that one ready. We'll show that one, but I want to give a little bit more chance for questions, because it's a very wide system that you can narrow down as much as possible. And I've been tested on this a lot, so I like this. Even if you ever see this and you have questions, DM me the questions. I want to be tested on the system, because the better I can make this, the better I can help people help themselves. So yeah. When you're driving the ball out of your defense, should you prioritize going up the wall from the corner and playing a pass to the middle to get the ball out? So this is exactly why the decision is based on the information. If you give me this decision with no information whatsoever, I can't answer that question. Are all the opponents on your half? Are they challenging you actively? Are you looking to just get the ball away? If they are all set in goal, no, of course not. If they're all set in goal, take your control, set up a shot, see how many of them you can get, out of the goal, or how many you can occupy. But if they're all pushing you, that decision is a lot more kind of given. So the space, the time, all of that, right? That's all part of why you want that decision making to be a part of this. Welcome back. Welcome back. Vitality versus Casey from last year. But I want to pick Monkey Moon. I want to look at Monkey Moon. I want to see how much it does. Because, right, one player diving you, one player on diamond, Pats middle facing, one ball back post. All right, where's your team? I don't think I do lightning. Sorry. Hello. If you have a teammate that's all the way on the right side, someone is challenging you, someone's in the middle and someone's back post, that means they're all kind of lined up, so you've got a lot of space on the other side. Play the ball over there. Just in front of third way line. Middle. If the middle player is free, use that. BDS versus Falcons. Alright. Not the World Champions. I can do that. Semi-finals. BDS Falcons. I'm going to pick game 3 then. No, sorry, game 2 it was. It was a close game. 3-2. Oh. Hello. Keep doing this. I have a lot of programs open. Oh, that's not my mouse. Don't need paint. Hello? My paint is frozen. That's a first. BDS runs an interesting offense. We're not necessarily looking at offense. I'm looking to give yourself a little bit more information on the No, it's just a blank page. There we go. Is it task manager time? We're good, we're good. I'm just trying to close a couple of programs. We don't need them all. Spotify can go for now. I don't need these nodes because I know this. There we go. A little bit more. So we're going to look at Monkey Moon's perspective, just give you a little bit more insights, and I'm going to like explain some of the steps even from the beginning. And you'll see that even if you're looking at normally what for example, a kickoff is, you can see how people immediately dive into these roles. If you're looking at the roles individually, a very frequent thing is have someone follow up like this. Who's going to be next? So, you know, they're next and someone is over here. Now you can immediately see off the kickoff, what you have is someone is making the action, someone is next, so they are getting an ID, they're going next, right? Oops. They're getting information and they're making a decision, and someone is recovering. Now it's not frequent that you see this player being like too aggressive. If you go really aggressive, you play for a certain outcome, and this at a high level makes sense. So people that like, you know, just send themselves through the mid, going for something else, that's a very common one. But then you see that always the next thing is you gotta get yourself through those steps. Yeah. So, Monkey Moon. If there's any more questions, make sure you ask them right now. I'm gonna go and have a little look at Monkey Moon specifically through these steps. Action. Simple. Go for the ball, put pressure on. First thing he's gotta do is recover. Now you see, an interesting thing here is to see that he's not looking to go for the big boost. Why not? Monkey Moon likes to be recovered back. He still has 26 boost. He can go for the ball. He opts out. So he has decided that in his role or in his step, he doesn't need much more boost than this. He's recovering to the point where he can go again, which is this. Is Monkey Moon first, second, or third primarily? Monkey Moon is a lot more flexible. Monkey Moon is someone that can kind of take most of the roles. I think if you take the definitions that I kind of give you, Monkey Moon is mainly someone that focuses on being second very well, because he's spending a lot of time getting information and making the right decisions. Yeah. Ping issues. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. So that's what you're looking at here, right? We've got an action. Action. We've got a recovery. He's getting back. Now he can go. He gets called off here. So in this case, he's using Drali's information, which he checks for. And he's going to say, all right, I don't have to go. So I don't have to go for an action. Now, new information comes in. We've got a demo, and we see Rawas is over here. So we have to stop Rawas from going here, taking control. So he's going to get a controlling touch and play to a point where he can do something else. Now, in that entire sequence, he's used a bunch of boost. So next up is just going to be his recovery again, right? Next action, recover, boost, boost, find the position. He's not going to go too far. Obviously, like, he's not going to go too crazy here. You see the situation. He has all the information again. Monkey Moon is ready for next. Decision. He's going to wait with the decision until he has more information. And now he can go again. Now he gets bumped. This was a really good play by Rawas. So this was a very well played out situation from the Falcons. How can you improve here if you're Monkey Moon? And I know that's a tough question. But if we look at the situation, right? And we're talking about specifically this point where he's got boost. And you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. Run. Why run? Where run? Run where? Challenge? Challenge when? Challenge earlier, right after teammate got bumped? I would even argue challenge now. Go wall? No. Preference is not on the wall here. If you're talking the steps and if you're talking efficiency, it's not going to be a likely thing to do. And I think in BDS, their system, they didn't have kind of a system where you are allowed to push with a third here. If you're asking me, and you're not, but I'm going to tell you anyways, this is exactly where Monkey Moon should push. You have the boost, you have an opportunity to play off of your teammates' pressure. Everything that happens after this, right, because of him not going, means that the pressure is going to steer him. He is no longer going to be able to decide when he goes, because he has to recover first. He stopped his ARIDA. He stopped his momentum. So he went, all right, I've done my action. I've done my recovery. I now has got the information. And now he didn't make that decision. The information was sure, there's two teammates in the corner, right? So he never went for any kind of decision. So he never did any of these steps, and now, because of that, he's in a situation where he literally cannot make an informed decision. So he's stuck getting information, and he's letting other people determine what he does. Now, obviously, this is a very, very tricky situation. I'm not going to pretend like this is going to be an easy thing to fix, but because he wasn't allowed to make that next step from that information, he couldn't push up. And let's look at the teammates, because this is where that system works with a team. Drali and Exotic are in this situation. Right? Appreciate the lurks, people. Now, if you look at this, right, there's two teammates that have made decisions to go for something that they probably shouldn't have done. Drali here, right, he puts himself in this situation. He's very efficient going for this ball, missing a couple of pads, but putting a lot of pressure on. And Exotic has jumped. Hold up. Why has he jumped? What does Exotic not have before he makes this decision? Dun 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 dun. Information. Yes. I'm basically you. Well, but like that's the thing, right? The stupid thing about this system, we are talking semi-finals, RLCS Worlds. Now, you know, if he had decision, if he had the information, if he would have been better, if he had spoken with me in the months prior to this, he would have realized that, sure, there is a lot of pressure here, but there is still a player there. You can see that player. He could have seen that player in advance, and if he had seen that player, and if he hadn't made the decision to go as fast as he had here, he would have taken that information into consideration. He wouldn't have challenged here in the corner. He wouldn't have put Monkey Moon in this uncomfortable situation. He committed to go before seeing TRK went to. Yes, and obviously it's very hard to get this because you can't always rely on just exclusively your information, especially at RLCS level. So there's a couple of things that are important to note. Also, because it's not exclusively Exotic's fault. I think there's a couple of things that went wrong here. The first off is Exotic is already moving Supersonic, Mac Jesus, sending itself straight through the middle and making like several decisions. So his line is like here, 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 right? That's pretty much how he drives. Now, when he challenges, he doesn't see Turk. And you can't always rely on exclusively that information. So the information we're missing is probably also not being displayed by Monkey Moon. Monkey Moon has all the information. I don't think he's called Exotic off. If you say, don't go, you're not going to win that, right? Just fake challenge it. TK sends this. Exotic can instead rotate out. Right? You don't have to commit to this. He now has 40 boost. He can rotate back. And instead, he can maybe demo someone on his way out. He can recover a lot faster. But because he keeps himself in the play, he doesn't really allow for space for Monkey Moon to go. And the entire system comes crumbling down. Now, this system is tough. You need to practice it. You need to practice it like initially for yourself. And if you've ever heard any of my generic advice, you will kind of see how I build up to this. Because initially when I tell you about advice, right? First, if you're anywhere in like bronze to gold, start by just getting yourself comfortable with going for the ball. Go for the ball, go back, go for the ball. That's it. Keep yourself comfortable with that. If you can speed that up, you're gonna start seeing where to go more and more over time. Don't focus on your teammates, don't focus on your opponents. No need to blame anyone. Just focus on your own improvement. Once you get above that, once you get to like a platinum level, you want to get yourself more efficient on your individual rotation. Ads again, I'm so sorry people, I'm so sorry. I forgot about that completely. Probably shouldn't have done that. But it all sunk right now, but it all comes falling down. For those that don't have ads, is there any questions right now? Because I understand there's a lot happening. A minute of ads. Oof, I'm so sorry, I feel really bad. I feel really bad. Twitch are greedy. I'm sorry. Beard routine. For my beard routine, I trim about twice a week. I clean up my neck all the way, so I have 2 fingers above my Adam's apple. That's why I put a marker and I kind of go around, following my jawline. I trim with a 5mm headpiece. This, I just kind of go through it a couple of times, and I have scissors which I kind of like take it out and cut off the weird excess bits. Try and match a shape of my jaw a little bit. Then I clean up some of the areas. I make sure my mouth is free so I don't, eat a mustache. Then I use oil. I wash it 3 times a week. Well, I wash it with water 7 times a week, but I wash it with a special shampoo 3 times a week. Being a god in Rocket League, I'm not a god in Rocket League. If you want to be a god in Rocket League, practice. Learn from every game. The second you learn to learn from every game, you're cooking. I know what we're doing. At the moment, MB, we are doing a talk for DBhubs. So, little intermission now that we've got ad breaks. I do apologize. We are working our way through a talk, as you will see on DBhubs. !DBhubs in the chat right now should give you all of that. Yeah. I don't have an Adam's apple. What now? Point at where your Adam's apple would be, and then go 2 fingers up there. Ads ended. All right, we're back. JJ, if you don't mind, I'll answer that question after this, if that's all right. Right now we're doing DB first, and then I'll go to that one afterwards. Yeah. All right. So, did we see where the clash was here? Did we see Exotic went without having the right information, making the decision, therefore becoming less efficient? The punishment from Falcons is really good because you can see the recognition from, for example, Rawas. That's not Rawas. In 8 minutes. I got you, JJ. Yes. DM me and I'll get to that one. So Rawas here recognizes and is very good at that second man position. Kalias has just gone, so he's going to action, recover, right? He's going to focus on getting himself boost. Even without having much boost, Rawas recognizes the situation, sees this, and understands that his role right now is not to be ready for a pass. Sure, he's got space, but he can help by 1, 2. Just being in the way. Understanding these steps, seeing what the player does in this system is massive. And if you start looking at, I don't care what game, I don't care what player, you will see that even if you simplify it enough, you will find the system work. What's up, Jay? How you doing? Alright, there we go. Recovery. Try and do as much as possible. Here comes finally the opportunity to recover. There's the information. And here's the decision. Information, decision. Now, Monkey Moon's power is his flexibility in his roles. He's very good at understanding how much time he has for specific things. I've said this before. I've made this analysis 100 times over because he's a fascinating player to look at. But what you're looking at is a player that knows a lot about what situation they're putting themselves in. So, here's the time, get the post. This is all the information he needs. He sees, he calls off Drali, he says, I'm going to go for a touch here. I'm going to play it somewhere where space is. Now, Drali didn't read that in time, so Exotic's going to go for it. And why does he drive here? Huh? Huh? So exactly why. That's why. That's space. That's nothing but space. Now, why did he go here? Because this is that second roll. It's because Drali is already recovering and Exotic is on the ball. So there is no need for him to go anywhere else. He doesn't feel the urgency to go anywhere else. So he can clean up and be right after it. Yeah. Why is Monkey Moon good? Monkey Moon is one of the most efficient players off the ball. And that's exactly what people don't often see. When people talk about Zen, they talk about how creative he is on the ball. When people talk about Beast Mode, you see exactly where he shows up. He uses information really well and makes a fantastic mechanical play. When people talk about Monkey Moon, you are talking exactly about this. His ability to read a play, find space, play it to space, and then make the most of the situation. Obviously, the boost is nice, but the ability to just go for a demo here and then just be ready works a charm. Does help if you have a good team and they can finish the goal. Yeah. GG's. All right. Is there any other questions on this system? Because we've had a couple of things. We've talked about the system. We've talked about the steps. I'm going to talk one more about why and how you can use it. But if there's any other questions, post them now. Because we're getting close to the hour. If there's no questions, I'll talk more about the why and how for the system. Because the why and how are the main ones that people do not see and understand. Again, the why, we've mentioned at the beginning, why it gives you something to hold on to. If you don't know what you want to work on, seeing these steps and finding out what interaction you are struggling with, or even seeing if you can make the process smoother, is going to give you something that you can use. I've even given people goals where they use the systems something to improve towards, right? A run through the steps. A run through of the steps is action, recovery, information, decision, and then action again. And the reason that it repeats is because technically it's ARIDA, 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 ARIDA. You want to go faster and faster and faster. You want to get better and better and better, more efficient, efficient, efficient. All of this is aimed towards getting yourself as efficient as going for the ball with all the information you need to make the best decision. With the system not just come falling apart if your teammate don't follow it through. To a certain extent, yes. There's always like I can blame my teammates, right? And that's not the thing that we're trying to do here. We're trying to give you the most efficient chance to get at the ball. If you have the information, if you have the ability to anticipate or even adjust your playstyle based on a teammate, you can adjust, right? Instead of now just focusing on what my teammate is, I've seen the information. My teammate's going to stay upfield longer. So I'm going to stay in that neutral position and go for a decision later when I get a chance to. Solo queue and trying the system is frustrating because you very much feel like you understand what it is you are trying to do, but it gives you something to work on. And this is exactly this is exactly why you want this system. I'm gonna press that button real quick because that is the Dreamy himself. There's the Dreamy himself. Let's just give him 5 subs. You legend, Dreamy. Thank you so much, man. You're a legend. You're a legend. Thank you so much. This system, and this is exactly why the why is important, right? The why is important, but you want to have something that you can work on. Ultimately, as a coach, it's going to sound really rude. I don't care about your teammates. I could not care less about your teammates. You shouldn't, unless you're working with them in the long run. But at that point, you can teach them this or help them. So having a system that you can use for your own sakes is worth holding on to. Then the how, that's the important one. Set yourself a goal, right? Look at your games. I've talked about this before. Look at your games. Oh, I'm not using information, so my decisions are often wrong, right? You can have the world's most mechanical player, but if they're not looking at the field, looking at you, Miyuki, right now as well, right? We talked about this like 3 days ago. I'm seeing you go for 3 double flip resets, and there's someone just setting goal going, that's very nice, but I'm going to just stop the ball when it's right there. You're not making the right decision for the situation that you're in, right? Those kind of things are important, so having that why and how is a bit, yeah. Why do I never get lucky? Because you're already so. Chat, is there any other questions right now? Otherwise, we're going to call this for the moment, and I'm going to thank you very much. Again, just to reiterate, absolutely, if you have questions, ask them to me. I want to be tested on this. Please test me. Find a flaw with the system and let me make it better. Because I truly do not think it is the best system right now, but it's the best system that I have found. It's the best system I've found so far. This is a system you can use for yourself. Look at your games. Talk to yourself, right? Am I not going for actions? Am I not recovering fast enough? Am I not using information? Am I not going for the right decisions? Or is it something between the steps, right? Am I not picking up enough information while I'm recovering? Any of that, right? All of those steps are going to help you long. Why don't you check for information before recovering? If you have all the information but you can't go, there's not much you can do with this. Recovering is that even if you have to go, right? Like if you, I take a random situation, right? I go for an action, right? And now I get information first, right? And I don't have any boost anymore. I don't have boost. So I see, oh, I could have gone, but I need to get boost first. Then by the time I've gone, like, oh, I'm going to go. Wait, the ball's there now. Situation has changed. You want the information as fresh as possible. How would you stay in a neutral position in twos if your teammate doesn't want to rotate off the ball? So if you have a teammate that's kind of staying on the ball, what you're looking for is you're looking for a position where you can do the most. Your teammate keeps hitting it in the corner, that's fine. I'm going to just like kind of rotate here. I don't have to do much, just kind of like pace around like this. People think this is like slow, but if the ball is in that corner still, right? I don't know. Let's see what happens. Right, I can't really go for this because my teammate's still there. All right, once it comes out, hey, that's mine again. But I'm ready for it. You're simply ready for whatever comes next. That's the thing. It's practice. It's ultimately, it's all practice. I can't, like, you're not going to magically be better at this. You have to practice. But that's where you start. Yes? Chat, any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to end the recording now. And I'm going to tell you once again to join DBhubs, because this was my chat, and this is just this Saturday. But we're doing a chat like this every Saturday. What, BeastBound? Every Saturday. Stop using the weird voice. You're giving us a fright. That's true. Every Saturday, there's a chat like this. There has been for the past half year, was it? I don't know. It's incredible. Not just me, multiple coaches, mechanics, replay analysis, breakdown, system, how to use things, anything. Community events. Plenty. Dreamy himself is responsible for, I don't know, about 150 hours worth of content every week on that channel. Yeah. How do I get rid of the voices? Ask me nicely. I don't know. I have to find a bit of voice. Get yourself in DBhubs, people. I genuinely mean it. They're incredible. Thank you very much. My name was BeastBound. I'm going to stop the recording. Goodbye.